Hey guys, it's Adam aka Swimming Bird, and welcome to our last Snapshot update for Minecraft 1.11 before the big features revealed this weekend at MineCon. This is 16W38A, but if you missed any of the recent update videos and you want to check those out, please click that Snapshot playlist at the top of the description. So before we get into what's new this week, we have some big news about the theme of 1.11, as well as exactly when we're going to get to see all of those new features. So lead developer Jeb tweeted out that the presentation panel for the new Minecraft 1.11 features will be Sunday, September 25th at 2 p.m. Eastern. Not much longer now. He also said MineCon getting closer. To set the expectations straight for 1.11, this update will focus on survival mode, or survival, and I'd say it's pretty neat, semicolon parentheses, so a sly little wink at the end that I'll get back to. But yeah, this is very exciting. Personally, I love the survival elements of Minecraft, but I've always felt like there could be more stuff to do. A lot of players do focus on building, but I've always felt like you have a lot more of a connection to the world that you're building in if there's more stuff to go do and more things to see. So I'm hoping for expanded reasons to go explore and rare loot and stuff like that. Now, there were a few survival-related features that have been hinted in the past that might get added in this update. We never quite know what the developers are going to add because they'd like to come out of left field and throw something that no one could possibly predict into the game, like the Guardians or End Chorus Fruit and stuff like that. But we do know that Jeb and the other developers have said they'd like to expand the inventory some way, so possibly a craftable or lootable backpack, something similar like that sort of thing. And we do know there's likely going to be a new mob, most likely a llama. That's been hinted pretty heavily in the past. So a couple things like that to look forward to. Now, that little wink makes me think that Jeb hid something like a hint in that tweet, and he did say neat. So that all but confirms we're going to get craftable feather dusters and redstone vacuum cleaners in 1.11, the tidy update. No. So yeah, I don't know if he's hinting something there, but we will know soon. So let's focus on the snapshot at hand. There are quite a few new features hidden in here and some useful stuff. So first off, we have two very useful game rules. We can now set whether the weather actually even cycles on or off. Finally, this is something I've been hoping for, but you can set this to false and the weather will never cycle to rain or snow or whatever, and you never have to deal with that again. If you're building or you just don't like the rain, then there you go. Now, if you do turn the weather on when you have this set, it is probably not going to change from rain. So if you want like a permanent rainy world, you could do this as well. But it's probably gonna be most useful for people that just don't like the weather at all. And then also we have the max entity cramming game rule, which I'm gonna show down here with this creeper. Now, this is something I talked about in the last snapshot video. You can do game rule and put in max entity cramming, and by default, it's set to 24. So what this is about is it's basically meant to alleviate lag on servers and worlds where tons of mobs get crammed in mob farms, especially in one spot. So the default is 24. So if 24 entities like players, mobs, minecarts, boats, or anything get stuck on one block here, then that means anything that's added to it will start getting hurt. All the mobs in there will start getting hurt. Now, this doesn't actually damage the minecarts and boats, so you can make these pretty effective little traps down here. So if something were to like fall into this and the creeper didn't get stuck in the minecart, he would just die, or another player in PvP. They're pretty simple to set up. You just put a bunch of minecarts or boats in there, and there you go, a foolproof trap. And this is something that I know is going to be a little controversial, but the good thing about it is you can set it to 0, and it will function completely as the game has in the past. So anything down there is not going to get killed. You can still have a ton of entities crammed into one spot, or you can set it to anything that you want. If you want to set it really low, then that means multiple entities in one block. If you were to like push in on another mob, theoretically, it should start making them all start to suffocate, but it'd probably work a little better if we were in a confined spot here. But yeah, so you can kind of mess around with that and change it, but by default, it will be 24, and anything past that gets suffocated into a wall. So there we go. Now, cobblestone wall, speaking of walls, cobblestone walls and the mossy cobblestone walls used to be in the normal blocks, but the building blocks, but now they're in decorative here, so you can find them right next to the anvils and ender chests, so they kind of fit in a little bit better in here with fences and things like that. And also, hey, get out of that boat. I need that for later. The farmland block, when you use a hoe on grass or dirt, this block, previously you could give yourself the farmland block, but when you use pick block on it, it would give you dirt, but now it actually gives you the farmland block. So there we go. A block that a lot of people might not have had in their inventory before, you can now get pretty easily with pick block. And now Guardians and Elder Guardians, if you light them on fire, the fish that they could possibly drop will now be cooked if they die when on fire, but their rare drops when a player kills them are matching to fishing loot, so they're not going to be affected by that. And rabbits also they'll drop their raw meat by looting, so you can get more rabbit meat if you got looting on your sword. And also skeletons and skeleton horses. Both of those will drop bone and rotten flesh based on looting too. And then fishing, if you were to fish and get an ink sac in the past, it had a weight of 10 and only would give you 1 ink sac, but now it has a weight of 1 and you get 10 ink sacs. That was how it was originally supposed to be, and then it got messed up somewhere along the way, so they fixed that as well. Now the chat has been expanded of how many characters that you can put in this thing. It was previously 100, but now you can put 256 characters in there, so you can say a lot more in a single chat message. And of course, if you are going to just use, the say command, you can put as much into the chat as you want, but that's just for, talking on a server or spamming or whatever you want to do with it. You can put a lot more in people's faces in the chat. Now over here we have some weird looking potions. These are uncraftable potions, and these would pop up if you had a potion with a missing or invalid potion effect tag, or tag, sorry. I was thinking about tabbing between windows and tabs. So these 4 are all uncraftable potions, and they have changed them a little bit. They're magenta, and they don't have the glint of the normal potions now. So they are kind of these weird uncraftable things that you can drink, but they don't really do anything. They don't have any effects, but they do kind of look cool, especially the tipped arrow and stuff. They're very, very kind of unique looking. They don't look too different, but they're very odd, and now you can tell them apart if you get a weird glitched potion. And last but not least, a bunch of interesting bugs were fixed. Squids were spawning in lava, that was no good. If you got gold swords dropped from zombie pigmen, they would always have the same amount of durability worn away, but now they'll be kind of randomized like the other mob drops. Baby zombie pigmen were holding their sword tilted weird compared to the normal ones, and there's a few things you could do with the layers of snow. If you had it 7/8 of a block high, you could float some redstone or doors and rails and things over the snow, and it looked really weird. And players were floating over mules when you ride them. They fixed that. There's a bunch of issues with shields and banners where if you tried to put a banner on a shield, it wouldn't kind of match it correctly, and also it would change your shield's color, the base color, if you tried to repair it. And also Elytra, the wings were not rendering on mobs, but now they should show up on other entities, so you can make some weird looking wolves flying through the sky, chasing flying sheep and stuff like that. And then the chicken stepping sound, if you had a chicken in water, it would still make the stepping sound, which was not what was intended. The villagers did not have a loot table, and now you can kind of customize their loot tables if you want to put them into a map or something. Boats, this is why I have the boat over here. The creeper was in there for a reason. Not really, but I had the boat here for a reason, because in the past, you could throw down a lingering potion or the dragon's breath, and you could ride over it on a boat. As you can see, I fall through it now. But because this has its own little bounding box, you can see kind of floating, because I threw it down on this block, so you can kind of see the hitbox of it is stuck at that level. If you had a bunch of these like set up, you could theoretically ride a boat over them, which is kind of cool. I almost feel like they should put that back in as a feature for boats to be able to ride over the potion effects when they're so thick like that, or the dragon's breath. But they fixed that. It was kind of a weird looking thing. Also, silverfish were doing more damage to players on easy difficulty than on normal. which is not good, obviously. You want to have it tougher on normal and easy on easy. And the mushroom cows, these guys were pathfinding to grass rather than mycelium, but that has been fixed. That way, they will kind of stick to their home turf, and it was messing with their spawning requirements. And then last but not least, the Wither boss was breaking structure blocks and structure voids, kind of messing up things they should not be able to break. But that has been fixed. All right, thank you guys so much for watching. We are so close to seeing all of the new features in 1.11, and we have a survival theme, or survival, if that's a new word. No. Thank you guys so much for watching. Please leave a like if you enjoyed this. If you want to subscribe, we've got big Minecraft news on the way. If you want to follow me on Twitter, it's @SwimmingBird941, and I'll see you soon for the big features ahead. Goodbye.